Well, hello folks. Today I'm going to be talking about declaratory judgment. So to start off first, I want to define that. I'm going to read it exactly so I don't make a mistake. And I'm bringing this subject up because basically I've sent stuff up to the state of New York, the Governor Andrew Cuomo, the Attorney General Eric Schneiderman, and various attorneys and the director of the Vital Statistics Department, and of course no response. So this was a major effort for me about a year ago, and what I want to do is share this with you because I believe this is a legitimate question. Well, even more so than a belief, it's a situation where I would like to get a handle exactly what is my legal relationship, the responsibilities, duties, and obligations, and of course the benefits, what to do with the name or the title or the document or the birth record for the person that I received many years ago that I use. It appears I'm just a mere user of and not the owner of such name. So first I want to define what a declaratory judgment. So you'll excuse me if I read this. Declaratory judgment, and this is from the Free Dictionary. Statute, which is defined as statutory remedy for the determination of a justiciable controversy where the plaintiff is in doubt as to his or her legal rights, a binding adjudication of the rights and status of litigants, even though no consequential relief is awarded. Individuals may seek a declaratory judgment after a legal controversy has arisen, but before any damages have occurred or any laws have been violated. A declaratory judgment differs from other judicial rulings in that it does not require that any action be taken. Instead, the judge, after analyzing the controversy, simply issues an opinion declaring the rights of each of the parties involved. A declaratory judgment may only be granted in justiciable, I don't know if I'm saying that word right, controversies, that is, in actual rather than hypothetical controversies that fall within the court's jurisdiction. A declaratory judgment, sometimes called declaratory relief, is conclusive and legally binding as to the present and future rights of the parties involved. The parties involved in a declaratory judgment may not later seek another court resolution of the same legal issues unless they appeal the judgment. Declaratory judgments are often sought in situations involving contracts, deeds, leases, and wills. So just to quickly say something, it could be deemed that the birth certificate is a deed as it is a title to property. So let's continue. An insurance company, for example, might seek a declaratory judgment as to whether a policy applies to a certain person or event. Declaratory judgments also commonly involve individuals or parties who seek to determine their rights under specific regulatory or criminal laws. Declaratory judgments are considered a type of preventative justice because by informing parties of their rights, they help them to avoid violating specific laws or the terms of a contract. In 1934, Congress enacted the Declaratory Judgment Act, 28 U.S.C. Section 2201, which allows for declaratory judgments concerning issues of federal law. At the state level, the National Conference of Commissioners on the Uniform State Laws passed the Uniform Declaratory Judgments Act 12 ULA 109 in 1922. Between 1922 and 1993, this act was adopted in 41 states, the Virgin Islands, and the Commonwealth of Puerto Rico. Most other states have varying laws that provide for declaratory judgments. Most declaratory judgment laws grant judge discretion to decide whether or not to issue a declaratory judgment. So anyway, how this all came about was I had sent a letter up to the Vital Records Department. Well, it was more of a demand, and I have not seen this in over a year, this whole package. And of course, when I sent that original package up, it got ignored. Nobody answered anything. So what I decided to do was, in a nice way, send to Eric Schneiderman, the New York State Attorney General, because that's where the name or registered organization originates from, a nice letter in the private to see if he would respond. Of course he did not. And this letter is dated June 16th, 2015, and it went certified mail. And that number is for the certified mail 701310000144991182. Again, dated June 16th, 2015. To Eric T. Schneiderman. Dear Eric, or authorized agent of Eric, I come to you in peace and in support of the United States. If this is not the correct division to bring this matter, please forward accordingly. I have tried the Division of Appeals and Opinions initially, as I believed that this would have been a good place to start. The matter was ignored. So just to say, I'm sending this to Eric Schneiderman, Office of Attorney General, Litigation Bureau, up in Albany, New York. So continuing on, please find attached a draft sample of a controversy that I would like to bring to your attention. Though I have not made any final decisions to file or not to file in the public, more accurately appearing as public, or specifically which locale to file, as there are different options available. As a courtesy, I wanted to provide you yet another opportunity to address this matter, possibly in private at the State of New York level, even though, as I suspect, you are under no obligation to respond at this time. In a general sentence or two, the controversy is in regard to the birth registration of the name Anthony Rubio, created on whatever date, received, accepted, and filed with the state file number, and you get that off the birth certificate, by the State of New York Vital Records, Vital Statistics Department on whatever date it was stamped on, which a certified and sealed copy of said birth document or instrument was sent to me intentionally by and through the Director of Vital Statistics, Guy Warner, as an authorized public officer performing his authorized public duty. The question to be addressed are, what exactly is my relationship to the birth document, person or factitious entity, my rights and duties, my status in relationship to State of New York at law, what is the construction of the birth document and the facts surrounding its creation, what is the authoritative legislation to use a name for personal identification, and what is the exact meaning to have this certified birth document authenticated, which entitles full faith and credit. It appears that I, unknowingly and erroneously, have been discharging obligations which the State of New York and or possibly the United States should be discharging as a matter of law. It appears all this discharging as opposed to paying debts has an underlying foundation from the 1930s through a declared national state of emergency under President Roosevelt. I would imagine that once this process gets underway, we can dialogue on all the matters in detail and go from there, and it can be finally adjudicated who is the liable party for this State of New York registered organization. In previous correspondence that was sent registered mail to Mark Fleischer and faxed to you, Andrew Como, and Thomas Di Napoli, who's the controller of the State of New York, I was sincerely hoping that my good faith effort to have my questions answered would have been acknowledged and responded. When not responded, I did fax it to the 4 individuals a notice of default and acceptance of dishonor. Again, this too was ignored. Since I have no authority whatsoever to force a response at this time, I have forwarded this over to others for safekeeping, as I have no clue what type of response lawfully or otherwise to expect. I do have some good news to share with you, as there now appears to be some precedent from a similar type of claim brought by another state district court, a political subdivision of the United States. Recently, one of the posterity filed a similar controversy, and it does appear to have had success in favor of that petitioner. Of course, there is a gag order in place where the details of the case are not permitted to be disclosed by petitioner. I suspect this has to do with national security purposes. In this particular case, however, the petitioner claimed he was the executor and or beneficiary of the individual trust or name. With that claim, he had demanded a request for accounting request regarding list of collateral or statement of account under UCC 9-210. That court has decided initially that the petitioner's status is private citizen and not citizen of the United States. I, on the other hand, do not particularly agree with that petitioner's theory or wording of his claim, nor do I really want an accounting, nor do I prefer the term private citizen status, as you may be able to discern after you read the draft sample hereto attached. That petitioner had sent out many letters, notices, questions, etc. to public officers. He too was ignored until he filed suit demanding answers. After that event, there was a response. My preference would be to dialogue on the matter, preferably on a one-to-one in private. It is not necessary to attempt to deceive in this matter, as I must concede that your required legal training far exceeds my abilities to outsmart you, as I have no formal legal training, nor do I speak legalese. As a matter of fact, should you believe that I have erred in my understanding in any statement, please correct me in writing. Otherwise, I have to presume that I am on the right track, demanding these questions be answered. My sincere goal is to bring about a good faith effort to help the United States return to peace, where life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is made available to those private men who seek and demand that path. I believe, and thereon allege, ultimately you or a similar authorized public officers must provide the narrow opening to allow non-belligerent men to enter and then provide perfect security. Please respond within 10 business days of your receipt, in your days of receipt, in the following format. And I put Anthony, care of the postmaster, the address, does it really matter? If you need, and going on, if you need more time to respond, simply request it in writing within the 10-day period. I look forward to your timely response on this matter. I am grateful to you for your thoughtful attention to this matter. Thank you, and may God bless you abundantly. And then what I did was I put a picture of a white flag which symbolizes peace, and a copy, an image of my footprints, and then signed it by Anthony. So I want to give you a little bit of background on this. This information came basically from Ken W., this declaratory judgment, and I think if you do some diligent research, you will find him around. Anyway, this was not all my brains, though I did tweak it to how I see it. And if you are interested on how I see it, I did a series which I just recently posted, The Peaceful Inhabitant, which has to do with the birth certificate and how the system works, or how I see how it works, the Libra Code, the Hague Convention, rules of war on the land, the IRS, all that stuff is in there, and I think there were 11 videos. Again, please forgive that this is not very professional. I'm still even learning this YouTube stuff. But I feel it's important to get this stuff out now with Donald Trump being president-elect. I don't know how that's going to work because he wants to drain the swamp, and there certainly appears to be a lot of items in the swamp that need to be drained. So where I'm really thinking of getting this to go, of course, besides doing this through social media, is getting this up to Donald Trump. And since Eric Schneiderman is involved, which he just recently settled the Trump University for the $25 million, maybe Donald would just be, it would be just of interest to him. Law seems to be very interesting. It seems to work for many, and then for others it looks like we're holding the bag. And again, as I said previously, I'm not angry, I'm not mad, I'm not looking for revenge. I'm just really trying to get a clear understanding. Certain presumptions and how it got to be that way, and how do we get out of it if we choose. I would imagine if, you know, you're, and I'm just only because of the election recently, if you know you love Bernie and you love Hillary, this, what I'm talking about, is really not for you. I would say the men or women who would be interested in this subject, whether it's the peaceful inhabitant or whatever the subject is with regard to government, it's a curiosity as to where do they fit in this. We kind of know something's wrong. I mean, that's been clearly demonstrated with the election of Donald Trump. I mean, people were afraid to say they were voting for him, etc. And then somehow this man won with all odds against him. Of course, I have a theory how he won, but that's between me and what I believe, which I'm not going to share. I also believe the country's in very serious trouble, and if it wasn't for the election the way it came out, it just would have been completely lawless, and that would have been the end of the United States. It would have been time looking for a different country. But again, that's my opinion, and it's no disrespect against those authorized public officials. They come across very arrogant and very too bad, this is the way it is. And basically you realize they do not work for the people. They work for certainly how I see it, is a corporate public trust called the United States, and therefore if they do not work for the people, they are not required by law or even moral law to even respond, because they're upholding this fictitious entity for the benefit of maintaining it, which I still don't get how Federal Reserve notes maintain anything as their private debt instruments. But anyway, I'm going off track on this. So the next thing I'm going to read to you is this sample declaratory judgment. And I had marked it, the pages, and there are 17 of them, draft sample.